What up, though? Welcome back to the Mic Check Podcast. This is T Word, the People's Champ. Thanks for tapping in. We're going live to do our Spence versus Crawford press tour reaction. We're going to get some comments. We're going to give a few people an opportunity to show up, and then we're going to get this thing popping. So I'm going to go ahead and drop a little beat to run in the background. We're going to give it about 2 minutes. I'm going to send out some invites to get some people up here so we could join in on this conversation. Tell a friend to kick it in. Come chop it up with your boy T Word. Let me see what kind of vibe I'm feeling today. If you're out there listening, please let me know if the music is too loud. We want it rocking, but we don't want it overpowering these great vocals from your boy. All right, so just let me know how this is doing for those out there listening. So yeah, man, today's live is just going to be about the press conference. We did a video reacting to the initial press conference. This video is going to react to the press conferences overall. I feel like because you got a couple different things, you know what I'm saying? K-Mo Lear, my sis from the 504, what's happening with you? We're just doing a little reaction to these press conferences. We ain't gonna be too long unless the conversation get good, then we'll kick it. Okay, the sound is good now. Perfect. Just trying to make sure the music don't overpower the vocals, gotta have that balance. But just talking about the press conference and seeing, what everybody's thoughts are, the people that show up. Maybe we'll get some in the comments on the replay. But I've got a good few thoughts. I'm trying to see if Q is available so we could get the yin and the yang to this. He's Team Crawford, I'm Team Spence. So we just want to give y'all some balanced reporting of the sequence of events from today. I tell you what, though, man, you could tell them dudes have, they take care of their money. Both of them, they came well dressed. I like to see brothers sharply dressed. You know what I'm saying? Like put together. They didn't look like the mannequin in the mall. You know what I'm saying? They look like their team really put the image together. Overall, I like the way that PBC is presenting everything. Showtime seems to kind of be taking a back seat and letting the promotional and broadcast company do their thing. So I thought that was pretty dope. The setup was a little different between LA and New York. Like in LA, they had them sitting on the high chairs. And somebody mentioned it in my comments. It looked a little uncomfortable for them. This time in New York, they sat them at a table. So everybody could get a little bit more casual and comfortable. So overall, I thought it was good. My personal opinion is Brian Custer is the best choice for doing something like this. I just feel like he brings a certain sense of class to it. And professionalism, and then he could be a little bit of an instigator, but in a smooth kind of way. I definitely like that. And as far as on the Showtime side, who else are you going to get? I just don't think that the resources are there to get somebody different. I mean, the coolest broadcaster I've ever seen was Stuart Scott. And if you can't get Stuart Scott, next in line will be Brian Custer, in my opinion. What do you guys think as far as just that part of it? Letitia says, hey, this is your first time in a live stream. Welcome. Letitia McCulley says, the first presser I had advantage Crawford, and the second one I have advantage Spence. You think so? I kind of felt like the first presser was a little bit even. I thought neither guy really overextended themselves personality-wise. I think Bud delivered his punchlines a little bit better. But I thought that in the second one, Spence came with a little bit better comebacks. He was a little bit snappier on the comebacks. It sounded like he might have been a little drunk, to be honest. They just kind of let him ramble. I don't know about that part, but that's part of who he is. League of Legacies in the building. What was the question? What did you think of the presentation overall? I think that's the first thing we probably want to discuss here. What did you think of the presentation as far as Showtime putting it together? The difference between the way they presented in LA and the way they presented in New York. I noticed the difference with, like Letitia mentioned in the comments, the chairs and stuff like that. Spence has a nonchalant coldness to him. Yeah. I don't know. It's like he the chill dude that used to sit in the back of the bus and he wouldn't run all the jokes, but he would like just throw his little 2 cents in, or the two dudes is joking on each other. Spence is the one that's co-signing somebody. He seemed like that kind of guy. You know what I mean? That's what I got from him. Let's see. Letitia came back with kudos to Spence for bringing up what they're doing with the fees. I have to spend on the belts. Good for him. Yeah, that was something good. I think that was a good use of his platform to bring that up. I think the only dangerous thing about this is, people have had these discussions. You're looking at Devin Haney and Tank Davis right now, and you have one team that says belts don't matter, and you have the other team that says belts represent legacy. And I think both things are true. Belts don't matter in the sense that as long as the best fight the best, they don't need to be champions. I think that that's the Tank Davis mindset. So you're going to see guys that have belts decide like, well, I'm not going to pay these damn sanctioning fees. I'll win it and send it back. You throw it in the trash, whatever. I think on the flip side of that, I think the belts do represent, it takes something to become a champion. You work your way up the ranks and then you become a champion. Becoming unified actually means more, obviously, because you worked your way up and you probably beat a champion for the second belt. If you become undisputed, you've obviously conquered your division, in my perspective anyway. So I think that there's a fine line of pointing out what the sanctioning bodies are doing. Maybe they need to get a fighters coalition together and find a way to combat these sanctioning fees and just say F them belts if it's going to be like that. League of Legacy says, I think the first one was good for boxing fans, but not really all that great for casuals. I tend to agree. The second one, I feel, hit the casuals. Oh yeah, because it was, it was the messy stuff. K Molaire's been there. You know what boxing gyms call it? The house husbands conversations. I think that's what you got in the second one. The first one was for us diehards because it was more about the best fighting the best, period. Let's see. That was a great use of his platform. However, he will pay a price for being so honest. What can they do to him? He actually makes money. So you want your belts in the hands of somebody that's going to generate money if you're taking 3% anyway. So he almost got them by the, short and curlies by bringing that to their, bringing that up and all that good stuff. So in my opinion, I thought it was a good use and they could come after him. I mean, take his belt. Okay, he's done what he wants to do at welterweight anyway after July 29th. So I don't know what that penalty might be. Maybe they'll keep him from being ranked for something else. People love to watch the car crash. Facts. But now you're in the building. What's happening? Let me give a shout out to all my people in the building, subscribers and friends. K Molaire, League of Legacies, Letitia McCulley. Shout out to Benaya. Thank you all for tuning in. Like I said, I'm gonna try to do about a good 30 minutes. I did drop the link if anybody wants to jump up here and speak their piece. I don't have a call-in set up like my boys at AM Sports Media. You could just jump on and you don't even have to turn your camera on because I ain't got mine on right now. Because I'm in my gym and it's hot, so I'm sweating. All right, let's see. See what these comments say. Taking this belt only shoots themselves in the foot. Facts. They will make it difficult for him to be ranked and get fights like they have done with other boxers. So if he was coming up and he didn't already become a champion, then I could believe that. But he's a guy that if he has your belt, he can make you money. So I feel like it would be tough for them to penalize him in that way. There may be some blowback, but they can't really stop a train like that because his promoters and people like that are going to put him in a situation to where he could get to a title real quick. That's where the money at. So there's my opinion on that. So let's go ahead and talk about day one. So let's talk about LA first. It seemed like everything was scripted, and that kind of bothered me a little bit because I feel like they gave Errol like a specific script of things to say, and then they gave Terrence like his guidelines. Hey, we want you to address these things. Errol's probably going to say this. Like there was a little production meeting beforehand for these guys to figure out what they're going to talk about, and then it's like, and then on the second day, then we're going to go deeper into whatever additional points. We'll let y'all freestyle it. So if you notice, when Errol got up there on the first day, he kind of ran the same script like multiple times. Like when he got on the stage, he said it. And then when he sat in his seat, he repeated it, and he didn't stray far from it. Obviously, these guys and their teams listen to YouTubers like myself and Blue Blood and BFTB and all that, because the talking points that you've heard across these YouTube streets were specifically addressed. The resume conversation. What else did they talk about? basically who have you fought, stuff like that. Who delayed the fight, who held the fight up, who wanted the fight more. These are things that have been talked about on YouTube. So you know that they were trying to entertain the audience that has been talking about the fight the longest. I thought that was a strategic move, and I think that it's going to help push the conversation around the fight forward, because now we're going to be back here talking about that. Well, he said this, and as you can see, Errol Spence agrees with me that he don't think you fought anybody. So if I'm saying it and he's saying it, maybe there's some truth to it. I think that that's kind of the framework that was put into place. I think you have two trainers that Derek James is kind of like a slick talker. Like he talked trash in that mumble, in the way that he kind of like, he's throwing digs and throwing jabs at you, but he's doing it very discreetly. I think Bomac is a more in-your-face trash talker, but I believe he was trying to show respect for the platform, so he didn't really go in like he could have. I would like to see him really step back. That character that was calling Errol a drunk and all that stuff, I want him to tap into that part of his trash talk and say that kind of stuff. That would make sense to me. League of Legacy says, I wonder if they took that approach to try and make Crawford more comfortable. Possible. I believe, they talked about it today, and they talked about it and basically saying, we're in business together. Derek James said it. Errol said it. I think Bomac might have mentioned it, and I know Terrence Crawford said it. Basically, like, we're business partners, but I want to beat your ass, or we want to beat you. They understood that they had to stand on business to make this fight happen. And so Errol's side has decided, because they're kind of the A side, so to speak, they decided to try and do what it took to make sure they could get Crawford into the deal and get him and his team comfortable. So I tend to agree. DJ is a mush mouth. Facts. Man, they got to get a mic right up on him to get through the mumble, because sometimes he's saying pretty insightful things, but it's like it all just chews up together where you can't understand it. So it's a little bit frustrating listening to him talk at times. Letitia says, I was surprised that the venue is not sold out. Yeah, but them tickets started high as hell. A lot of people are not really trying to spend that bread to get in there. And they pushing the pay-per-view because they understand that. But I assure you that this one's going to sell out. There's no way it's not going to. I mean, the resellers are going to make the real money. They just hadn't gone out and bought. I think they were waiting to see the response to these press conferences to see if they want to buy everything up and then resell. You'll see a run on those tickets probably in the next couple of days, by the weekend for sure. That's kind of how the market goes. I think they wanted to really gauge interest. Something else we could talk about real quick, and then we'll get into the New York press conference. So Steven Espinosa did interviews after both press conferences, and he explained how the fight happened. There was a lot of concessions made by Team Spence to get this thing done. Not even stuff like who's going to walk out second and all that, but like from the purses to conceding just certain things that maybe they wouldn't do before, like the conversations that they had to have to get this thing going. That kind of lets you know that there was an actual effort. We can't talk about who was scared, and the duck and talk is over. They signed the deal already. But something that I thought that he brought to the forefront was the specifics of the rematch clause. So they're not guaranteed to fight twice. A lot of people think they have to fight 2 times because that's in the deal. No, it has to be activated, and there's a time and an expiration date on that. So whoever loses, if they want a rematch or whatever, they have to activate that in a certain amount time window, and then they have to actually get in the ring in the time window after that, unless they agree to extend that time. Obviously, if there's an injury or something, then they've got to push it back. But a lot of people thought that it was a 2-fight deal. Basically, they signed a 1-fight deal with an extra fight option. So Crawford has not actually signed with PBC, if we want to go ahead and clarify that. Let's see. Benai Wright says it looked like Crawford was uncomfortable with public speaking. Yeah, but we knew that though. He hasn't been pushed into a position where he had to do that. Think back to the Sean Porter fight, right? They had to do all that press. It was kind of like known that was probably going to be his last fight on Top Rank. And he was kind of like, I'm going to let my hands do the talking. He really didn't talk. He let Sean Porter kind of carry the marketing. So we all knew that Bud is not somebody that's going to sit there and just run it with you. He's not going to go back and forth. So doing what he's doing, like he's got his shtick going, right? He's reeling in the big fish. He's got him on the hook. He's gonna gut him. I think that he left some meat on the bone, because there's a lot of jokes he could have threw out there with that big fish thing. But that right there just kind of, I think that he's still trying to figure out how to put them words together just right. Like, I think they should have practiced with him, but he did look uncomfortable. All right, let's see. Letitia says, is that not normal that one has 30 days to activate a refight clause? Well, it's whatever you can negotiate. So, this is a super mega ultra fight, whatever you want to call it. They can negotiate the terms to fit. They can say, hey, we want to rematch in 60 days or whatever instead of 30. Give me 60 days to think about it, whatever instead of 30. So whatever you can negotiate is really what the terms will be. But Kay does come back with a great explanation. I believe this to be correct. 30-day option for rematch by the loser. Second fight must be complete by the end of the year. So that's what I heard, but Espinosa didn't confirm those terms. So if you know for sure, that's great. That's what we're going to roll with. Let's see. To his credit, Crawford is getting better, or he's getting better. Not so much during headlights. Yeah, having a damn room full of people like looking in your face for you to say something witty, and you got somebody across from you that kind of does it on a regular basis, is something else. What I thought would have been really cool is, how sometimes, like I've seen Jake Paul do it, and they do it a lot with DAZN. They sit down at the table, and then they just kind of go back and forth where it's more of a private setting, and then they just let the camera roll, and they got somebody to feed them questions and set them up with punchlines. I think that would be a really good thing to do the week of the fight. Have them do a face-off with a sit-down at a table, and just kind of let them try to recreate that conversation that was had at that fight in 2018. I think that's when we saw the best version of Trash Talker of both. Let me see. Hold on one second, guys. I'm trying to get another invite out on Twitter, and then we're going to keep running it. So something I did want to address, though, is so when you look at them standing side by side, and we've talked about this a little bit in the comments, but do y'all think that the size difference is going to play a factor into the fight? Yeah, do y'all believe that? Like, it looks like even today when they had in more like evenly measured shoes, Errol seems to be about a good 1.5 inches taller. And you can see from a frame standpoint, he's always been a little bit bigger dude, pretty much bigger than every welterweight except Kell Brook and Yordenis Ugas that I can remember. He even was like stockier than Lamont Peterson, who's a pretty solid dude. Do y'all think it's going to play a factor in terms of the reach aspect? Because Terrence Crawford has a 74-inch reach, Errol Spence has a 72. So height aside, their arms aren't that much different. And remember, reach is measured from fingertip to fingertip when you stand like a letter T. So broader shoulders, things like that will make your reach longer or shorter. So I think when I saw them side by side with their arms at arm's length, I just believe that it's not going to make that much of a difference. Like, that reach is not going to be what it is, what it looks like on paper. All right, Johnny Nelson does that for Matchroom. Okay, Max for ESPN. Yeah, Showtime doesn't do that. But I thought I remember seeing Ariel Helwani do something, but I don't know what network he's with. How was Crawford going to keep Spence off him? That's a good question. Counter punching. Punch him, catch him stepping in and hit him with something. No, I do not. Spence looked a bit chubby to me, so he has weight to lose, whereas Crawford looked on point. Spence does not look chubby. Like, he's a naturally bigger person. They're 45 days out, so that's approximately 6 weeks. He shouldn't be at 147 this far away from the fight. That's his brain fluid draining off. Like, he's going to drain down to 147 maybe a week and a half before the fight, try to maintain around 150 to the day before the fight, get down to the weight, and then the next day get right back up to 160. When he steps in the ring, he's going to be 160 plus. So he's going to look that way for a while. Let's see. Kay says, Crawford catches Spence overreaching on the right hook and knocks him out. Size won't be a factor. Superior footwork and balance by Bud. So I do believe Bud does have better footwork, and he does have better balance, but I don't know if that's going to be the deciding factor. Hang on 1 second, guys. All right. I'm back. Okay, so what we got here? Now we're getting into some strategy. I love it. Okay, so Flush Crawford will have to punch up. Yeah, I think he's going to have to extend a little bit, which is going to offset that 2-inch reach advantage, which in reality, that's an inch in each direction. So really his arm is maybe an inch longer on either side when you think about actual, because their reach is measured as actual wingspan. All right, so we booking it. Kay says it's going to be a left hook to end the fight. That's going to be crazy. So what stance do you expect him to line up in? I'm thinking orthodox, and then he going to do the switch. So counter traps work with fighters who are aggressive, and Crawford's only aggressive when he feels he has you wounded. So if he counters Spence and wounds him, then a trap will work. But if you're wounded, you can't really set a trap. You're going to be in retreat mode. So I don't know that the counter trap is going to be how he gets him. I think he's going to find his way inside and force the fight to get dirty. He's going to try and hurt Crawford early on, and then he's going to work his way inside and get him to get into a dogfight. Like, he's going to try and reel him in with that dogfight. Oh, okay. Spence will throw a left hook and be off balance when Crawford knocks him out. I see. I'm not sure. I believe Errol is going to be a little bit tentative, to be honest. I don't think he's just going to come out there and just go. I think he's going to try to like wait Bud out for the first couple of rounds, because Bud going to start slow anyway. So he's going to give him a look and try to bait him into a position of comfort, and then he's going to come back and get his offense off. That's kind of how I picture it going. I say I ain't gonna get too much away because we still got some videos to make about the strategy, but I think that's how the fight's gonna start. I think it's gonna be a really slow fight for the first 2 rounds. Neither guy is gonna really come out like they're telling us it's gonna be a dog fight, but then it's not gonna be that way until it gets into like the mid rounds. Letitia says as soon as Crawford takes that fast jab away, game over. That's no easy task. I haven't seen anybody take Errol's jab away. Even Kell Brook was eating the jab. It's just Errol wasn't putting anything with it. And once he eventually found a way to step differently to get that jab off, look what happened to Kell Brook. Not saying Bud is Kell Brook. I'm just saying I haven't seen anybody take Errol's jab away. So, and counter punching isn't necessarily the way. All right. So League says, angle out after throwing in anticipation of the counter to then move in, like you said. Oh, okay. I can picture what you're saying now. Errol said he stepped from the first belt. He lying. Errol ain't about to step from the first belt. Derrick James is going to have him slow down for the first round, maybe 2. And then from there, then he's going to start to be aggressive. Well, that's going to be Crawford's surprise. I mean, he has to have the right strategy. How do you take away a jab? You have to come over the jab. If the jab is frequent, you can't punch between punches. If you're defensive because you're trying to evade the jab, that's going to make a big difference. Because that means that you can't get your offense off. If you're trying to get out of the way, you can't counter. Kay says, first 2 rounds of Errol versus Ugas saw Errol off balance 5 times on the left hook, Bud knocking his head out for the counter off that back foot. So I did see a lot of off balance stuff, but I believe that a lot of that was rust because he couldn't even train because he was coming off the eye surgery. This time, he's been able to train for the most part. And while he was injured, I think that he still was training. I believe that he did something to his knee, but I think he was still training. He'll be much sharper this time. And he's had a lot more time to recover in between, whereas he didn't have as much time to get ready for Ugas, I think. But he still just dominated that dude. I just don't see him taking those kinds of risks against such a high quality counter puncher. Let's be honest. Terrence Crawford, one of the best counter punchers in the business. Even though Errol said that Danny is the best in his opinion, I don't know that that's necessarily true. That's debatable. I think Danny's real good at it. That ain't no excuse though. I believe that was rust. I saw a lot of rusty things. Even Derrick James let them know, like, hey man, we got some stuff to work on because you're doing stuff. You were doing stuff that you shouldn't have been doing. Ring rust is the downfall of most fighters. Not necessarily. Some people are just better off rest. He hasn't shown that ring rust has been his downfall. So most fighters, yes, but all fighters, no. And he hasn't. He's actually proven that to be wrong 2 or 3 times. You know, he had that layoff after the car accident. And then after the Danny Garcia fight, long layoff. And now he's off. We'll see how it goes against Bud. But I personally think that they're going to play real strategic to start the fight. Very strategic. I don't think he's going to go in there guns blazing like he's saying. He wants Crawford prepared for that. But I don't think that that's how it's going to play out. I think he's really going to like step back and really just see what Terrence wants to do. What stance do you want to be in? Stuff like that. So just about going to go ahead and wrap it up. I just want to check in with y'all, talk about the press conference, chop it up with the peoples, man, because we don't get to go live that often, and we missed on Sunday. So just wanted to kind of touch bases with you all. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Feel free to check out some of the videos. We got some more stuff coming. We're going to do an official video on it. I'm trying to get Q up here. He's traveling this week, so we're going to figure that part out also. But thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in. This has been T for the Mic Check Podcast. Until the next time, I'm out. Peace, y'all.